does not reassure women or trans women in this country. Does she agree?
So much for dignity and respect, eh?
How does the Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch, truly lack dignity and respect? All this happened in the ministerial statement on the 22nd of March 2025, where the Labour government dropped a basically two-ton poo on trans people after the Supreme Court hearing last week. Now, this bit of a ruckus happened during Labour MP Emily Darlington's question, where she took exception to how not only Kemi Badenoch was behaving, but also how the party opposite acted after this question was asked.
Over the last few days, calls to switchboard the national LGBT+ helpline in my constituency has skyrocketed, with callers who are in fear for what this ruling means to them. Because trans people, frightened to use public loos today, know one thing. And does the Secretary of State agree? We should all be clear about this. The overwhelming threat to women and to all of the trans community is the violence that we suffer from cis men.
I've saved you from the Bridget Philipson's reply because she didn't say anything of interest and then just hid behind the Supreme Court ruling. But what I will say is Emily Thornberry was not impressed with the reply, as were a good number of the Labour MPs too. So if I do have any people, from the trans community who do watch my content, you do have allies in the Labour backbenches and from the Greens and the Lib Dems. So don't feel that writing to your MP, be they from Labour or the Greens or from the Lib Dems, is a waste of time, because Philipson got far more pushback from her own backbenchers than from the party opposite. And also, you have support here on this channel too. We're on your side too, so don't think you are alone in this, and I'll say I'm sorry for what happened to you. You don't deserve any of this, so I'm truly sorry. But anyway, back to the video. And clearly something happened after that question was asked, and then it all kicked off.
There are some days I'm really proud to be an MP and the level of debate in this chamber. And there's some days like today when, quite frankly, the Leader of the Opposition was absolutely appalling. She continues to talk over people, not listen, laugh at people while they're talking about an issue that is very, very serious. People out there are scared as a result of this judgment, and they will... Could you maybe let me speak? Sorry, apologies. Sorry, could the honourable member allow me the politeness of not speaking over me?
Keep going.
My question, and I will ask a question, when it...
Order. I do appreciate that feelings are running high in this statement. However, please do ask your question and put it on the record.
Do you think that, does the Secretary of State agree with me? The debate in this chamber is listened to by those people who are today scared. And the behaviour of the Leader of the Opposition in talking over people, laughing at people, and when cis men violence was mentioned, the opposite benches laughed. Yeah. That does not reassure women or trans women in this country. Does she agree?
Secretary of State.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I agree that where we discuss these matters, they are sensitive and they do generate strong feelings. And it is, of course, right that in this House we are able to engage in robust discussion, including on issues that might at times be difficult. But I accept the point that my honourable friend is making, that we do need to treat one another with respect and understand the need. So much for dignity and respect, eh?
What I will say is that when Emily Thornberry asked her question, I didn't hear any laughing, if I'm honest. But clearly something happened to rile up Emily Darlington, didn't it? And I also got the feeling that Emily Darlington, maybe for me, maybe went a little OTT with a moment in the spotlight, so to speak. I just thought, why don't you just ask your question and just ignore her lack of dignity and respect? But I also thought Emily Thornberry did make a good point about who is the main perpetrator of domestic violence, because I did hear a lot during this debate about women needing safe spaces. And I have to say, I did find it a little confusing, because how can people like Kemi Badenoch say that women need these safe spaces from violent men while saying you're not transphobic, but you seem to be solely attacking the trans community? Or am I missing something? Maybe I probably am. But Dame Meg Hillier asked a question that showed that she's clearly missing something too.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm proud to represent a constituency which shows tolerance to people from all backgrounds, and unlike the political hot potato this has become in this place and in political dialogue. I have a constituent who has been transitioned in the 1970s. She's used female toilets now for more of her life than she ever did any other toilets. Are we saying that her dignity and her respect that the Secretary of State has talked about is going to be any way improved if there is any ban on her using the toilets that she's been using for so many years?
Minister. Madam Deputy Speaker, the ruling from the Supreme Court made clear that the provision of single-sex spaces is on the basis of biological sex. But what I would say to my right honourable friend and to her constituent is that through the development of the code of practice that the EHRC will be setting out, they will make sure that businesses and others ensure that there is dignity and respect for all, that there is appropriate provision, including the use of toilet facilities, so that no one, including trans people, must feel unsafe when they use public toilets.
So yeah, what about that poor woman's rights now, eh? For me, Dame Meg Hillier's question clearly shows that this is far more nuanced than the likes of clowns like Kemi Badenoch and 30p Leanderthal would like you to think it is. And Dame Meg Hillier's constituent, for me, where does she go now? And where's her safe space now? And it kind of put it into context by the fact that she's been using women's toilets far longer than she used men's toilets really well, doesn't it? So, yeah, Kemi, why don't you explain the reason for your culture war to this constituent? Also 30p Lee, and all you lazy journalists out there, you know. Can you explain the point of your "do women have a penis" and "what is a woman?" "What is a woman?" lines to that poor woman, and I suppose to every other person in the trans community, you know, whose lives have been completely turned upside down by your vile culture wars and also this Supreme Court ruling. So, I have to say, I'm stunned by it all, but I have to say I'm sorry for the rant, but watching these two parties basically shitting all over a vulnerable community who, let's be honest, whose only crime was just wanting to live a normal life like everybody else. I have to say, watching it, I found it incredibly embarrassing to watch, but that's for another video, and there will be others on this. But again, you in the trans community, you deserve better, and you are amongst friends here. But also, what do you guys think? Was Kemi Badenoch really lacking dignity and respect? Let me know down below. And if you enjoy everything, House of Commons, Select Committee meetings, and, you know, anything political, please like and subscribe. And I shall bid you farewell. And take care, my friends.